Well, welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. I'm Landon and I'm without Austin today. I was about to say, and we got Austin here as well. But Austin, for those of you who don't know, works overnight. So he's got a crazy sleep schedule. So I'm lucky enough to not work overnight. So I'm good pretty much all times of the day, and that man's got to sleep. So anyway, I will be with you today. Very excited. We'll talk very briefly. Look, it's by the time this comes out, this is Friday or late Thursday night. This is the basketball game versus Tennessee's over, done with, been discussed. We'll talk briefly about that. I really want to talk about this matchup Saturday for Mississippi State against South Carolina, a place where Mississippi State can kind of get back up on the bandwagon. They're 15-4, which is is kind of crazy to think about. That's the ninth in the SEC. They're 3-3 in the SEC after the loss to Tennessee. They're on the road Saturday at noon against South Carolina. South Carolina team that is struggling record wise, but has looked really good versus some quality SEC opponents. So we'll talk about that. And then lastly, I do want to get into Mississippi State season tickets are going up in price, and a lot of people have thoughts about this, and so we're going to talk about it. But going to be talking about how with this team's kind of performance last season, the thought of them going up in price is a little bonkers to some people, and I get it. So we're going to talk about that and more here on My Dogs Are Barking. So excited for you guys to be tuning in with us. We're right in the thick of SEC basketball play, and it's just my favorite, man. Like Wednesday nights, like go to church, enjoy time with the community, with the fam, get to laugh with some folks, go home. Yeah, SEC basketball. Tuesday night, late on Tuesday night, you're like, man, the week's kind of getting going. SEC basketball, and then you got all day Saturday SEC basketball. So it is so good to have that time of the year be here. So I'm very, very excited. But hey, before we jump on in to all what we're going to get into, a lot of really good topics today. I want to let you know that My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part by Arpa's Coffee Bar in Starkville. If you're a fan of coffee, if you are a fan of very good food, Arpa's is the spot to go. Venezuelan coffee shop with a lot of really, really good food. The Venezuelan burger, the Venezuelan hot dog. But look, sometimes when it's just really cold outside, you just need a coffee. And you don't want Starbucks, right? You don't want kind of the run of the mill, what everybody's going to in town. You want something different. Arpa's Coffee Bar is where you need to go. It's in the Cotton District, in the heart of Starkville. Um, Friday, or pardon me, let them know that you are a listener of the My Dogs Barking podcast. You get 15% off of your order at Arpa's. So mention, hey, can I get that 15% off discount for being a listener of the My Dogs Barking podcast? They'll say for sure, and go ahead and get you 15% off. Not a bad deal at all. Also, hey, look, man, all this talk, this time of year, everybody's about to get their tax returns. Man, it's a good time of the year. Get to see what Uncle Sam was withholding from you. Might even be a little rich. But hey, what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones advisor serving clients in the area and across the state of Mississippi. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. All right, let's get into this. And again, I understand that content is king. And so when you have, a day where, or a couple of days go by, and like you've already heard everything you want to hear about Tennessee, Mississippi State, I'm sure, or by this point you already have your opinion on it. I'm not going to lock down and continue to go on things you've already heard before. What I'm going to speak on, I think, is something that's important here. I know the Josh Hubbard thing. I know Kugel couldn't get consistent. Claudel didn't contribute a lot. Michael Nwoku looked. The two things I wanted to talk about Nwoku. Then I wanted to talk about the 3-point percentage of other teams. Listen to this: when Mississippi State is facing other teams shoot the ball from three better than they usually do. This is the last 4 games for Mississippi State. Their opponent's 3-point percentage versus Mississippi State. Kentucky shot 50% from 3-point line. Okay. Auburn shot 41% from the 3-point line. Ole Miss shot 37%, and Tennessee shot 35%. The only positive, I guess you could say, is in order, it's going down. So by the next game, it should be 34%. But the reason I bring that up is South Carolina, who is upcoming, is shooting the ball at a respectable rate from three in their game versus Florida. They lose that game 70-69, but South Carolina shot 35% from three, and so that they have some guys that can knock it down. Morris, I can't. His name's tough to pronounce. Morris Ugasuk, or it's not Ugasuk. That'd be very sad. But he was 50% from three, and Colin Murray Boyles was 1 for 1. Like Zachary Davis hit threes. So they've got guys that can hit the ball. Aiden Carter's hit two. Um, South Carolina has people who can shoot the ball from three, and I know they struggled versus State in the first game, but you never know. And so Tennessee was able to shoot the ball from three with some consistency. Obviously, the game didn't get completely out of hand. State kind of was climbing back, but State's got to figure out a way to kind of hold those. They've got to get better at defending the three. That's just as easy as it goes. But here's the thing: I think that they're so concerned about what's going on down low. Michael Nwoko has just looked lost, and honestly, as bad as it sounds, he's kind of just looked irrelevant out there. I mean, he played 21 minutes and had 1 point. And he had 4 rebounds. Um, Being irrelevant is on the court or wherever you are is important. When you're in a job, you don't want to be someone people just don't think about. When someone enters everyone's met a person that whenever they enter the room, they know they have a presence. They know that they're there. Okay, this person is here. This person's making themselves known. Sometimes when Michael Nwoku's on the court, it's like it's irrelevant. Like he just you forget he's there a lot of the times until he, jacks up a three or something. And so State's got to get consistent play from that position, or they're going to be in trouble, man. Michael Nwoku's got to figure out a way to be involved with this offense because if it's not him, Keyshawn Murphy's a guy that they really need to lead that second unit. The first, I mean, he played 21 minutes as well, but he only had 9 points. And also just could not get going. Tennessee's a really, and don't get me wrong, Tennessee's a very good defensive team, but Mississippi State's got to figure out a way to get Michael Nwoku involved and to be a threat offensively. Because right now, people just are not really concerned, not really respecting him. So State's got to get that going against South Carolina. And look, South Carolina again, the record is not great, but they played several teams down to the wire, including Florida. I mean, Florida's a very good team. Remember, Florida beat Tennessee by 30 points just a few games ago. And South Carolina took Florida on Wednesday to the absolute edge, 70-69. Florida got the win. But Zach Davis had 22 points. Collins Murray Boyles had 14. Again, they shot 34% from three. So State's got to figure out a way to come out of the gate and do well against these guys. I think the 3-point shot is an issue, but also another issue for Mississippi State's basketball team right now is offensively they almost look like they don't have an identity. They get down the floor and just kind of pause there for a moment, and I know there's a lot of switching screens trying to get things to go, but it looks lost almost without Hubbard kind of being a threat. And again, I'm not gonna. Hubbard's been talked about so many times. I don't want to sit here and talk about him even more because I know I'm getting lost in the lighting here. Got to fix my lighting. Got to get the producer here. I have the lights turned off, so that helps. Sorry about the face just completely white. Well, my face is white, but there's nothing I can do about that. There's an element of this team that they've got to figure out if Hubbard's not being consistent, and that is finding an offensive rhythm. That they don't seem to be able to find a rhythm over the last couple of games. And Kugel obviously struggled in this game. And Kugel had a really, really good game versus Ole Miss. But it just, to me, if this team's going to be what their expectations are, which right now is a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, not too shabby, right? In order to do that, Hubbard has to become his former self because they can beat some of these teams, some of these fringe teams. But when it comes to the really good teams, and Tennessee's a really good team, they shut down whenever Hubbard just can't get going. And they need to find it somewhere else if Hubbard's not going to be able to contribute. And to me, I think the secret sauce is down low. Find a guy who can do something for you in the post. Last year Tolu Smith had games where he just took over down low if Hubbard was not having a good game. Well, when Hubbard's not having a good game, we've talked about how there's several other shooters on this team. Well, the problem is because of the way State has shot the ball recently and because of how they've defended the three, they've really been behind on some of the scoring. So they need a presence down low. And Michael Nwoku on the offensive side of the ball just doesn't he just doesn't look like he has it. Defensively, there's some stuff there. He had 2 blocks versus a very good Tennessee team, but State's going to have to figure out a way to become a defensive presence down low in their rotation and find a guy that can do something for you there. Cam Matthews, I thought Cam Matthews almost looked exhausted. He played 37 minutes. He had 2 points. He had 5 turnovers. He had 8 rebounds. That's nice. He just looked exhausted, man. He played so much. And RJ Melendez played hard, 50% from the 3, 4 of 6 from the field, 10 points, 2 steals, played really, really aggressive defense. Sean Jones, you don't need Sean Jones shooting, he had 0 points. You don't need him to be a big scorer, but you need him to score something. And Claudel Harris was just 2 of 6. You just didn't get a lot of production from them. And it goes back. And again, I know Tennessee's a one-off game. You cannot just point to that. Tennessee is, just like Auburn, a really, really good team. But you go back to the Ole Miss win when Mississippi State wins that game in overtime, 84-81. You didn't get any production almost at all from Hubbard, but you got a lot. Yeah, Kugel gave you 21. Keyshawn Murphy gave you 18. And then you got, 10 and 12 from Melendez and Matthews, respectfully. But the same thing, Nwoku had, 3 points total. State's going to have to figure out someone outside of these 8 guys that they can do something with some consistency, or they're going to be in trouble. Because let me read the kind of the next few games for State. So State this week has South Carolina on the road. Wednesday night is an 8 p.m. tip-off between Mississippi State and Alabama, and I got a really bad feeling about that game. We put in credentials for that game. We'll see if we get approved. I usually know between a day or 2 before we go. And I live in Tuscaloosa, so it's not a far drive. But I don't know. I don't think State's going to perform well in that game at all. Alabama shoots the 3 is elite in shooting the 3. Well, but we'll get there on Monday. We'll talk about that portion of the show. But they've got Alabama. Then you get Missouri at home on the 1st. Man, you hope you can win that game because Missouri is not ranked. Then you go on the road at Georgia. That's a really hard game. Number 5 Florida at home. Then you go at Ole Miss and Texas A&M at home. And I'm not even talking about the last 6 games. That is your next after South Carolina, your next 6 games. And 5 of the 6 are ranked, and the other team used to be ranked, Georgia, and you're going to have to go on the road. State is in I just don't like how they're playing, how the rest of the team is playing around Hubbard. Kugel can give you 21, but he can also give you what he gave you versus Tennessee. And I really worry that State is going to run into some of these teams and lose so many games that they're going to end up being an 8 seed. Now, Mississippi State being an 8 seed or a 9 seed is a really, really good 8 or 9 seed. I wouldn't want to be the other team that sneaks in on the bubble to play Mississippi State, for sure, right? For sure. But State has not had this much talent in a long time, and so they owe it to themselves to see if they can lock down over these next few games. Austin and I, whenever we went through that 5-game stretch, so we looked at Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Vandy, and I think we said if you can go 2-3 and over that next 5, I think you're in a good spot. And State did get 2 or 3. They got Vanderbilt on the road. Then they got Ole Miss at home, and then he lost those 3. And really, Kentucky was the only game that was close. But and State's played pretty well on the road this season outside of the Auburn and Tennessee game. But they're Auburn and Tennessee, not teams you're going to play great against. So we will look at that and get a closer look on Saturday. But I think Mississippi State overall should beat the South Carolina team. They're 0-6 in the conference. They're clearly the worst team in the conference. And so at some point, you got to think for the players. Some of them are probably mentally checked out, I would imagine. Like, how would you not be at some point? But I think State's going to be able to get that win, but they are going to have to cut down on the 3-point shots for the other team, 3-point makes rather. And they've struggled with that as of late. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the ticket prices going up. The season ticket prices going up for Mississippi State after their 2-10 season. We'll read the official statement from the university and get into that and more. Would love to hear your thoughts about that. But first, we'll take an ad break from Neil.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital.
And welcome back to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. So Mississippi State's ticket prices went up, and just for full transparency, so my family has season tickets. Whenever I'm able to be credentialed for games, I'll go and cover Mississippi State. But right, season ticket holdings it in my family, and obviously I know a lot of other people in Mississippi. That's something that are in Starkville area, something that they cherish. But the ticket prices for season tickets apparently had gone up. Now, I have not received an official email, or not been known or let know from my family that they received an email. But this was put out by several fans received this email, and I'm just going to read it here. It says ticket prices are going up this the season. Email from the university says, we recognize that all college sports are undergoing massive changes, and that's especially true in football. Innovative, data-driven revenue growth is going to be critical to the sustainability and competitiveness of every athletics department. You were in 2-10. An in-depth analysis of season ticket pricing in the SEC and among other Power 4 schools shows that for decades, our ticket prices have significantly been under the market rate, and that Mississippi State athletics has been well short of our peers in revenue generation. Prioritizing cost effectiveness and affordability for state fans while rising to meet the many challenges and the many changing college athletics landscape, including anticipating revenue sharing for student athletes and rising operational costs, is a central focus to us. As we gear up for the 2025 campaign, we want to share some important information on the ticket price renewal process and how we plan to stay competitive. Following our detailed review, prices for the football season ticket packages and Bulldog Club per seat contribution requirements in various sections of Davis Wade will be adjusted to keep at pace with our peers. We recognize that budget is important to many who support us, so seats in our most affordable section of the stadium will cost less than $40 a game. It's our hope that ticket entry level for every fan who wants to attend state games and cheer for our players. New for 2025, the Bulldog Club seating contributions will now be included in your ticket renewal process to create an easier one-stop process for securing your seats for next season. I don't know why I'm reading this as if I work for them. It sounds like I'm doing an ad. It is vital for us to keep with our peers in the SEC. 15 of 16 SEC schools are expected to increase their football season tickets for 2025, and these dollars have a direct impact on our ability to compete on the field. Our ticket growth helps keep state competitive, football competitive in college sports' toughest conference while ensuring the highest value with our average prices that continue to be in the lower third of the SEC. Here's the last part. Our commitment to you is to strategically invest our resources, to be creative and relentless in our pursuit and retention of talent, and to make sure that your game day experience at Davis Wade Stadium is always evolving to meet and exceed your expectations. That's a lot, but the ticket prices are going up, and it's a part of the college football world that we know right now. Um, with the NIL and with the revenue sharing, teams have never been so in your face on we need your money in order to compete really well. Um, Tennessee talking about making their tickets, up their ticket prices in order to give to the NIL and kind of update the collective. Um, I at some point you have to be more competitive, or else people won't come to the games anyway. So if they feel like this is a real way to, I don't think that they went into as much detail as they probably should when asking for, asking for more cash from a team that went 2-10. I mean, I would even state, I don't know. It seems like this would be something that would be well put to say, we know our recent struggles on the field, something that acknowledges, hey, we went 2-10 last year. I understand this is hard to do, but to put out there, not really even acknowledge that, but just say, well, we're going to update this because other SEC teams are doing this. Why not just say, like, look, we want to be competitive, and this is our best chance. We know it's going to be hard. We know that it's a headache. We know budgets are tightening everywhere else, but here's the reason why we're doing this. We want to be more competitive because we know that we're not where we need to be right now, or not where the level you deserve to see whenever you bring your family to start. I don't know. I'm not a marketing major, but it seems like some of those things would be well said in here, as opposed to just mentioning, not even acknowledging that, like, this team is in a miserable spot right now, and the other team in the state, Ole Miss, is worth. Read a list today. Ole Miss is worth almost double what Mississippi State is worth. Not the collective as a whole. I'm not even sure what all factors kind of play into that. But Mississippi State football, at least, is in a difficult spot. So you got to work on this if you're gonna ask people to give a little bit more, um, acknowledging the fact of where you are. But look, I completely understand if there are fans that have been giving season tickets, have been getting season tickets for a while, and they go, "Look, this team sucks, and we don't want to give up our Saturday." And sometimes you look at, dude, the older, and I'm probably relatively young compared to folks that listen. Um, but the more you have your own family and you start doing things, those Saturdays are really really valuable, and because you work all week and you go, okay, finally made it to Friday. And you enjoy Friday night and you go, okay, I got Saturday and we can watch college football all day at home. I can watch multiple games. I can grill. I can barbecue. I can hang out with the wife. I can hang out with the kids. I can go to the store. I can go play some golf in the morning. I can go whatever it is. Or I've got to plan my entire day, drive, spend a lot more money than I need to spend right now, and watch this team lose 41-17 to Toledo. Like, I completely get if folks wanna say, "Nope, I'm done. I'm good," and prove it, prove it in another way. Look, this revenue sharing is about to be able to give a lot to these players, so you show it on the field, and then I'll show up. This whole Dan Mullen, regimen of, "Well, if you show up and then we win." Man, that's nice, but now you're asking people to cough up even more of their actual money to give to 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are gonna hit the portal for another school next year whenever they offer more. No, 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 thanks, man. I completely get wanting Mississippi State to do well and wanting your team to do well. But I also get whenever a family person says, "I'm good. I think I'll just chill at home and not renew my season tickets." Completely get it. So interested to see what the actual fallout of this will be. I understand Mississippi State's point of view. of look, we gotta be more competitive. This is going to give us an advantage of that. I understand. Um, it's just coming from a bad spot from someone. It's like you ever have anyone that owes you money, like they owe you cash. I had a friend one time that owed me like several $100, and not a time when I had any sort of money to spare. And it was Christmas, and he got me this. He bought a whole bunch of stuff for himself and spent, however much cash that I remembered at the time. I knew the amount, and got me a little something. And I remember, I guess I didn't look like I was very thankful, but it was because, like, dude, this guy owes me cash. He just spent all this cash on himself, something he did not need. Whenever they're like, I'm needing this thing, I need you to pay me back for this thing I gave you money for, and you're spending it elsewhere. It's just like, do you not see, like, or do you not kind of see where how this looks like you're not paying attention? I think that's where Mississippi State is, and how the message came across in some sort of way. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be a long, a long football season. We're gonna discuss on the show as we transition and kind of end here, all throughout this off season. We're gonna have several guests from ESPN, guests from around the college football landscape. We're also going to have what we did last season before we came to MPW Digital. We were part of a group called the College Huddle Network, and we interviewed a different kind of representative from each school that Mississippi State was going to face that season. We even interviewed someone from Eastern Kentucky. We interviewed the beat writer for Eastern Kentucky and Toledo, which is that's unfortunate looking back at it now. But we're going to do the same thing this season, and kind of look at what this team looks like going forward, and what the matchups are. I'm looking forward to that. We'll do that in the offseason leading in to the regular season. But as always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. It's just at MyDawgsPod, and kind of catch up on those things. Make sure you tune in to Mississippi State's men's basketball game Saturday as they take on South Carolina in Columbia. And again, make sure you follow at MyDawgsPod for updates throughout that time. Also, make sure you subscribe to MPW Digital. I hadn't checked yet today, but I think we're less than 1,000. The network itself's less than 1,000 away, or pardon me, less than 100 away from 11,000. So really, really cool. So make sure you subscribe to MPW Digital if you are not already, because we need a Mississippi State. We need the Mississippi State fan base to be a part of that as well. So we sure do appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next time on My Dogs Are Barking.